Hey guys, it's Kaylee. I am back with another What Sold From Last Week video. I hope that you guys are enjoying watching this series every single week as we talk about what is selling on eBay and Poshmark. You know, they are some of my favorite videos to make because I get to reflect on what's selling for me and kind of anticipate what is starting to sell for the current season. I have definitely seen some sweaters, some jackets, and some things like that start to sell, so I'm excited to start sourcing that way. But sales are really good last week, and honestly, I think they're going to continue to go up. I am on an upward trajectory, as many of you will be as well, as we move towards Q4 and get out of this summer slowdown slump. So without further ado, let's dive into the sales.
All right, so everything that sold last week happened between August 6th through the 12th. That's a Sunday through a Saturday, and that is how I calculate my weeks. Got a breakdown of numbers here, but the important ones to me and what seems like for you guys that are just listening in are these numbers. So items sold in total, we sold 269 items. We actually had a pretty decent split between eBay and Poshmark. eBay, we sold $131. On Poshmark, we sold $138. And it is important to note that I did do, I believe I did a closet clear out during this time. Because it was like within the first 1 to 2 weeks of every single month I dropped prices. So I either dropped prices that same week on a Friday, or I dropped prices the previous week, which bled on over. So a lot of drop prices on Poshmark, selling a lot of clearanced items and moving out older inventory. So I think that's why I had an uptick in the amount that I sold on Poshmark. And I expect that next week it won't be as much. In total, gross item sales, just the items, we're at $6,853.14, which is awesome. I've been talking a lot about wanting to get the gross item sales above 7,000 again, and I think we're going to hit that really, really soon. Average item sale price was $25.48. I seem to be hovering around the $25 mark. So I'm looking forward to hopefully in Q4 getting that over $30. When I check on a day-to-day basis, my orders every morning, I get up and I check to see what will be shipping out that morning. When I do my numbers on a day-to-day basis, most of the time they are at $30 average item sale price. But when you include weeks of closet clear out, it definitely impacts that a lot. But in general, it seems like we are moving in the right direction when I look at things on a day-to-day basis. So those are my sales. And yeah, if you want to take a look at the screen, you can pause it and look at some of these other numbers, but we are going to dive right into these sales. Just a reminder that I get my items from a combination of thrift stores around my area. I also have a few people that have reached out to source for me. So I am purchasing items from them at an inflated price so that they're making money too. But they are going to thrift stores. So everything is thrifted. And then I'm also doing buyouts. So if somebody's shutting down their store, they have a huge death pile, we're doing buyouts as well. So everything is a combination of those. And I'm trying to be better about sharing my wholesalers, which are the people that source for me. And so I've had a lot of you guys reach out because I know it is a huge need in the reselling community, to be able to get inventory. It is a huge blessing for us. But there's just not a lot of people that are doing it yet. It's a very new business model. A lot of people don't understand how someone could even make money thrifting for somebody else and not selling it themselves, but there's a lot of money to be made there. It's a very, like I said, new type of business in the reseller community, and there are very, very few people doing it. And the few people that are doing it are only able to take on so many clients at once. And so only one of them is currently public sharing their information. And once some of my other wholesalers in the future, if they want to share the information publicly and take on more clients, I am happy to share that with you guys. But for right now, it's just the one. I've mentioned it a lot. It is Trash Pandas Wholesale on Instagram. You can go check that out, but none of the other ones are public yet. All right, so let's dive in here. eBay is switching stuff up again. When I went to prepare this video, I noticed that there was like a little information screen that came up and overlaid over top of this. Instead, they changed things around again. So this may look a little bit different, but I personally think it looks much better. And I noticed that I'm now able to show you when the item was listed again. So for this video, until they change things again, at the top of the screen right here for the eBay portion, it does tell you when we listed the item, if you want to have a better idea of how long it took to sell. So this first one is a shoe brand that I've never heard about. A lot of these brands in today's video are going to be things that are very new to me, and I'm sure you've never heard of as well. So excited to share these with you. But this one is definitely one that I've never heard of before, first time finding it. It's called Crockett and Jones. And these boots I found at a very little like mom and pop kind of place, and I was really surprised to find these here. They looked very nice. You could tell they were really high quality, and I believe they said they were made in England. And anytime I see any kind of footwear that says made in England, I almost always look it up, and it almost always is a very high quality brand. So not true for everything, but you may consider looking something up if it says that it is made in England. So these are very, very expensive shoes. I think I saw them retailing for like $400 or something like that. We priced ours extremely high, and obviously, as you can tell from the start time, we listed them at the beginning of January, and they hadn't sold. So we've since dropped the price. I probably shot for the moon a little bit. And so we've dropped the price. We've added best offer. Ultimately, they ended up selling for an offer that someone sent to me for $145. I actually only paid $1 for this pair of shoes. They had them priced up, and then I got to the register and they were like, "Oh, did you know that shoes are all $1 today?" And I was like, holy cow. So I was really excited about that, and $1 into $145, like, you can't beat that. Like I said, I did have to sit on that slightly, but I would absolutely pick up this brand again. I don't know if I'll ever find it again. It seems to be pretty rare, but definitely something to look out for. All right, next up is a newer brand to me. I got this from one of my wholesalers. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have known about it. It is TSE. And as you can see, the tag is just so super simple. So TSE women's cashmere blend sweater. It is also size extra large, so that really helped to sell it. And anytime I feel a super thick feeling high quality sweater, I always look it up. And if you do, I would recommend you look it up as well, because sometimes these brand labels like just look like nothing, but they end up being really high quality brands. So this is definitely a high quality brand. And these are the types of sweaters that I'm going to be looking for this upcoming season. I listed this for $75. It sold on an offer to Watcher for $63.65. Currently, I am sending bulk offers to Watchers on eBay for 15% off. That's the rate I am going right now. Next up is a brand I don't normally get, but it is a designer brand. It is Jason Wu, and this is also a size 0. So I was, in addition to hardly ever getting this brand just because the sell-through rate's not that great, and it being a size 0, I was very hesitant, but I'm glad I took a chance. It had a lot of good factors going for it, which is why I decided to pick it up. Long sleeve, floral dress, did the best research that I could, but ultimately still felt it was a risk. I paid only $4.99 for this, and it sold for my full asking price of $65. Like I said, Jason Wu is a designer brand. With any kind of designer brand, there are like specific pieces that people are looking for, but most of the time it's like oversaturated and you're going to end up sitting on it. So I would be very careful with anything, but this ended up being a pretty decent sale, and I thought that I would share with you. Next up is a jean sale. This actually went to a viewer, and she saw it in a thrift haul, but as you guys know, whenever we thrift something, the item doesn't usually go active for a month. So she was messaging me on Instagram. We went back and forth. These finally got listed and I was able to share them with her and she purchased them. So if you're watching, thank you so much for that purchase. It's always nice to get a viewer sale. So I paid $7.99 for these. They are a size extra large, which in Spanx is really good. It really helps to increase the value. They're also, they're not like an average skinny jean either. They are the style itself was called the crop flare jeans. They also have this interesting undone hem at the bottom, this like color detail here. And so a lot of things going for it, which is why it really increased its value. We listed this for $60 and she did buy that outright. Again, thank you so much for that sale. Spanx in general is a brand I have a lot of luck selling. There are some categories that have gone oversaturated, but I would say anything pull on and like wide leg, something other than skinny are definitely bolos. All right, next up is a newer brand to me. You guys might have seen this in a Thrift With Me video recently. It did sell very quickly, actually. I'm not sure the exact date. Oh, yeah. Okay, I've got it right here. So we listed it on August 11th and it sold on August 11th. So it sold the same day it got listed. Very, very quick. So definitely a brand to look for. So the brand is called Birdwell, and from what I can tell, they make like men's swim trunks. I think they might make more stuff than that, but this is what we came across. Very interesting tag, very interesting logo. I say pretty easy to identify, and keep your eye out for it and other things as well. We did find these new tags, so we got very lucky there. And yeah, they have a really fantastic sell-through rate. We paid $6.99 for them. Listed them for around $60, and like I said, they sold the same day for our full asking price. All right, next up is an item that did take about 3 months to sell, which is the tail end of our 90 days. We are picking up or trying to pick up majority of our items 100% sell-through rate within 90 days. So this was at the tail end of the 90 days, but it definitely did still sell as expected within 90 days. So very happy with this brand and we'll be looking for it in the future. This is a men's Western snap shirt by the brand Ryan Michaels, or Ryan, did we accidentally put an S? Yeah, Ryan Michaels. Sorry, we should not have put Michaels here, but it's still sold. But this is a brand I've never found before until this piece, and I'll be looking for it in the future. But I would just say in general that any kind of like Western looking shirt, this to me looks Western because of this little detail right here by the shoulders, and also the pointed flap pockets, and then the snaps. So snap button downs, all of that is very Western to me. Those type of shirts in the men's department seem to perform well. So if you come across a brand you've never heard of, it might be worth looking up if it's got this style. I paid $4.39 for it. We listed it for around $50. Like I said, it did take 3 months to sell, but it sold for our full asking price. All right, this one is a new brand to me as well. It is Girlfriend jeans, but it's spelled, if you're just listening and not watching, girlfriend, but without all the vowels. So GRLFRND. And it was an interesting looking pair of jeans. It seemed like the tag was very simple, which to me is a good indicator of a high quality brand. The jeans did feel really nice. They were very interesting. They had complete full zips down the front. And yeah, I just thought they felt really high quality. So I looked them up. I can tell you that they definitely did not have 100% sell-through rate. However, the ones that were selling for quite a bit. So I felt pretty comfortable taking a chance on these. I paid $8.99 for them. We listed them for around $50. They did sell for my full asking price, and they sold on an international sale through the eBay International Shipping Program, which is basically nothing hard. You just click a button and it turns all your listings on. Actually, I don't even think you have to do that now. But it's like you don't have to do anything, but maybe click one button to turn on using their international program, and shipping looks the same. So I'm really thankful for the few sales I get that are additional, just because I go through and have turned on the international shipping program on eBay, but this would be one of those sales. All right, next up is one of my favorite things to sell, which are graphic t-shirts. I love finding vintage wear t-shirts. Absolutely, because I've sold a ton of those, and it's super exciting when you find like a piece of history and something nostalgic. However, I also find joy in finding more modern t-shirts that flip for a decent amount. So there are some graphic t-shirts that are modern or Y2K that perform really well, sometimes just as well as the vintage ones. So I love listing t-shirts because they're just so easy to list. I know all of the item specifics, and they're super easy to look up. So this one is a like vintage Y2K men's Pink Floyd t-shirt from 2009. Here is the dating down below. Thought it was really cool. Had some pretty decent comps on it, and this one was in really great condition. Also a men's size large. I had to kind of make up a price on this one. We paid $4.49 for it, and I listed it for around $50. It sold for my full asking price within a couple months of listing. Next up is something I took an offer on. This is a Johnny Was piece. Johnny Was workshop. This one was a size extra small, but I just can't really say no to Johnny Was. I actually got this blindly because I was like, oh my gosh, Johnny Was. I never find Johnny Was. I don't care if it's an extra small, it's embroidered, and I'm going to get it. And then I went home and I did the comps on Johnny Was workshop extra small tops, and I was actually surprised that the sell-through rate was not that great. So I thought I would be sitting on this for a little while, but it was a gorgeous top, really great, excellent condition. And I listed it for around $65 is where I thought that I wanted to get for this item, but I did know I was probably going to sit on it for a while based on the sell-through rate. I did not have best offer turned on this listing, but someone reached out to me in messages, and she said she wanted to buy it for her daughter, but didn't want to pay that much basically, and offered me $45. Now, normally when a buyer does that and I don't have best offer turned on, which is pretty much all the time, I usually say, sorry, we're not accepting offers, but we do send out offers to watchers. Keep an eye out for it, something like that. However, I remembered that when I checked the sell-through rate for this, it wasn't that great. And I was like, you know what? 45 is not that bad. So I revised the listing. I turned on best offer, and I told her if she wanted to send me an offer for the amount she said, which was $45, I would accept. She immediately did. She was happy. I was happy. I moved the item quickly, but I try not to hold on to items, especially if I know the data's not there, and the data was not there for this. However, again, really great brand, and something I would risk on even without a 100% sell-through rate. All right, here are some surprising sales. I've actually got a couple of these, and probably in the next What Sold video coming up, I will have more, but it's so weird. I won't say never, but I hardly ever purchase Tommy Hilfiger anymore. Like, it's just not a brand that performs well for me unless I find something like kind of rare and vintage, but in general, I pass on this brand. But I came across a Tommy Hilfiger men's blazer, and I did the comp on it, and they actually had like really decent comps, good sell-through rate, good average selling price. So I was surprised, and since then I've picked up a few of them, and they've like all been selling. So I guess keep your eye out for Tommy Hilfiger men's blazers. I have no idea why. That did not used to be the case. So this one is a kind of older style because it's got the 3 button, but it is a very classic like red and green plaid men's blazer. I think this was wool too. Let me see. Yeah, it is a wool blend. So people are definitely starting to buy for fall and winter. And Yeah, it was just a size extra large. This one's kind of an older label, but like I said, when I did the comps, they seem pretty decent. I paid $5 for this. We listed it for $50. It did sell for our full asking price, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good sale for Tommy Hilfiger. Next up is another blazer. This is Torrid. This is a women's red velvet blazer in a size 3X, and it was new with tags. Again, to be honest with you, when I did comps on this, it was not at 100% sell-through rate, but I felt like there were enough factors there that I did want to go ahead and get it. So new with tags, it is one of Torrid's larger sizes in a size 3X, and it's just a really gorgeous, interesting velvet piece. I paid $5.99 for this. We listed it for $45. It ended up selling on an offer to Watcher for $38.15, which are really good profits in my opinion on something I took a risk on. Next up, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this, but I do like to show brands that have gotten oversaturated that are still selling well for me in certain categories. So I never discount a brand completely. Like I said, even with the Tommy Hilfiger, I still look for like their super rare vintage pieces, but Madewell's one that definitely has gone downhill, at least for me. But I do know that there are a couple of their styles that can perform really well. Like I said, I won't go into too much detail on this, but I looked up the style for this. It had a really good sell-through rate. It is a midi dress, and we listed it for around $45. It sold pretty quickly in about a month on an offer to Watcher for $38.14. So almost $40 for Madewell these days is pretty good. Here is another blazer sale. I don't know why, but I'm like getting really into blazers, and I used to hate listing them. So here's another blazer sale. This is Calvin Klein. We only got it because it is a plus size, so this is an 18W. Very nice, like modern draped open blazer. Paid $5 for this. We listed it for $40. It did sell for our full asking price. So happy with that sale, and I'm going to be looking for Calvin Klein plus size blazers in the future. Next up is a pretty tried and true jeanswear brand for us. It is Judy Blue, especially in their larger sizes and certain styles. This one was a really good size and style. This is a boyfriend fit 14W. And this brand in general performs extremely well for us. I paid $8.99 for this. We listed it for around $38, and it sold for our full asking price. Here is another jeanswear brand. This is my first time hearing about this brand, so it might be yours as well. The brand is Gustin, and it is a men's jeanswear brand. This was like a raw denim. I don't know if you can tell based on the way it looks, but very raw denim, which can be a good factor to look for. But this brand in general seemed to be performing pretty well. I had been sitting on this for a few months. We ended up selling it for around $35. So I am happy with that sale. But I think in the future, if I come across this brand again, I might price slightly lower just to get it to move quicker. All right, here is another Tommy Hilfiger sale. This one surprised me also. This one's actually a kids, but it is new with tags. So this is a boys. You can see it retails for like $100, which is crazy. Very classic blue and gold buttons. That's probably, if you want to dip your toes into selling blazers, just know that in my experience, the navy blue with the gold buttons seems to be the most desirable color scheme. So that really helps to add value. So again, a boys, kids, new with tags, Tommy Hilfiger blazer. We paid a little over $5 for it. It sold for our full asking price of around $40 for a kids blazer. So pretty happy with that. And like I said, check comps on Tommy Hilfiger blazers because they're doing pretty good right now. All right, here is another denim sale, and I honestly didn't know that Sundance made jeans until I don't know if you guys are following along in the thrift with me where this was shown, but I was super surprised about this. This is a pair of wide leg jeans, and yeah, Sundance jeans seem to be performing really well, especially the wide leg ones. This was a size 10. I paid $7.99 for it, listed it for around $35, and it did sell for full asking price. Some people were telling me to list this higher. However, I am following the comps, and that's where a lot of these were selling for, so that's what I went with. Next up is a brand I kind of tested for a while, and I can now say that it sells pretty well for me. This is the label. So it usually says The Shirt by Rochelle Barons, and then it usually underneath of it also has like a certain style name, although not always. I tested this out like a year ago. I came across one of these and I saw that the sell-through rate was like 50%, but the ones that were selling for $40. And so I took a chance on it back then. It sold pretty quickly and I was like, wow, I'll keep my eye out for this. Since then, I found several of these and they all sell for about the same amount. So I'm going to continue picking these up regardless of sell-through rate, but something you might want to look for as well. So The Shirt by Rochelle Barons, and like I said, this was the boyfriend shirt in a size small. I picked this up through a wholesale actually for a little over $5, and it sold for my full asking price of around $40. Next up is something I got strictly off of Style. This is a vintage Susan Bristol sweater, which, you know, over the last year, I've learned that Susan Bristol vintage stuff, just in general, they make a lot of good pieces in the vintage realm that people really like buying, and they tend to sell pretty quickly for me. So this one was a no-brainer. I would have gotten this even if it wasn't Susan Bristol, but it is very like cottagecore. It's got beautiful puff sleeves. It's embroidered, very dainty. And it's a size large. So like all of the factors were there. I could not say no to this. I paid $4.49 for it. This sold within about a week of getting it listed on an international sale through the eBay international program for my full asking price of around $40. I honestly feel like I could have priced this higher and waited for like $60 just because it was such a good style. But I am happy to move that. All right, next up is a brand that is newer to me. It is Honest Cotton. This is not to be confused with Hot Cotton, which looks kind of similar and kind of honestly the same concept for the brand. But this is a brand that's kind of niche. There's not a lot listed on eBay. There's not a lot in the solds, but it does seem to be selling pretty well. So I thought I would mention it. It's kind of like a minimalist, just like easy, light wear type of garments, and this is a gauzy shirt dress, and I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this whole brand might be one size, but very, like I said, minimalist, easy breezy kind of a brand. We picked this up for just over $4, listed it for $40. It sold on an offer to watcher for around $34. Next up is one of my favorite bread and butter brands. It is Standard by James Purse, or James Purse in general. James Purse has vanity sizing, so this 3 translates to a size large. So 3 is definitely one of their better sizes. I like picking up James Purse in both men's and women's. They are, I don't know if this is, I probably need to go on their website and figure out what they stand for, but from what I can tell, they make very minimalist, like capsule piece items. Everything's very neutral. Everything is, it feels high quality. It's easy to put on. Like, it just seems like a minimalist capsule staple brand. And yeah, I really like it. And I've noticed that the women's button-up tops out of every category they have in the women's department seem to perform the best. But in general, I'll even pick up the t-shirts and flip them for $25 as well. So this one's a button-up roll tab sleeve. Or is it roll tab? Might not be roll tab. No, but their roll tab ones do well. This is just a plain button up. It did have some side panels. I paid just over $5 for this. We listed it for around $35, and it did sell for our full asking price. Next up is the brand Lulu Bee. This brand I only started picking up within the last couple months, and every single piece that I've picked up sold pretty quickly. This one took the longest to sell, and I think it was because it is a shorter length dress. All of the maxi ones flipped like the same week, but still happy with this sale. It is a very boutique-y looking brand. It might even be a boutique brand, but from what I can tell, they make a bunch of like UPF nylon-y feel dresses and things of that nature, and yeah, seem to have a really decent sell-through rate. I paid $2 for this. We listed this for around $35. It sold on an offer to watcher for around $30. Next up is something I took a chance on. I got this, I got this, who did I get this from? One of my wholesalers I got this from, and I remember thinking, I can't find anything on this hat. So like I was looking up like Japanese, Asian Superman hats and couldn't find much about it. And I just thought it was very interesting. I was like, you know what, we'll take a chance on it. So very cool Superman hat with some Japanese I don't even know what it says. Hopefully it says Superman and not something bad, but took a chance on it just because I couldn't find anything like it. We made up a price, listed it for $35. It sold on an offer to watcher for around $30, and it did take a couple months to sell. All right, next up is a brand that I knew about but didn't realize had such a great sell-through rate, so I'm keeping my eye out for certain pieces in this brand. They don't typically sell for a lot, but there are some things that sell well. So this is Soma, and this brand has a really great following, although like I said, most of their pieces don't sell for a lot. If you find Soma at the bins, I'd probably get it all day long. It flips really quickly. You're just probably only looking at 15 to 20 bucks. However, this is their sensual line, and this is a 100% silk, very gorgeous, like kimono type long length robe. I found this, I did the comps on it, and these silk robes were selling really, really well. However, this one was missing its like waist tie or its sash, whatever you want to call it. And I debated at the thrift store. I found this in Michigan, actually. I debated at the thrift store, do I get this because it has a really great sell-through rate, but it's missing something or not? Ultimately, I ended up deciding to get it, and I just dropped the price. Very good comps on Soma robes, so keep your eye out for that. I paid $4.99 for this. I listed it for around $35. It sold on an offer to watcher for around $30. And this one took only a couple weeks to sell, even with that missing. All right, next up is a brand I would just keep your eye out for, especially in the fall and winter for the sweater season. So if you find sweaters in this brand, every year they perform pretty well for me. This is actually a pair of shorts, men's camo shorts, and this is a brand I believe that used to be sold at J. Crew but is no longer sold at J. Crew, therefore making it kind of valuable just because they don't make it anymore. That is my recollection of this brand, so I might be wrong on that. But pair of men's camo shorts, I pretty much always pick up this brand when I find it just because it does have great comps. We listed this for around $30. It did sell for our full asking price. All right, next up is more of a bread and butter piece. The Talbot's plus size tops are still performing really well for us, especially like 2X and 3X. This one is a 3X plus size top, and we actually found it new with tags. You can see it retails for about $70. I listed it for half the retail price for $35. I did not do that because it was half the retail price. I actually did comps on it, but just letting you know. And it sold for an offer to watcher of around $30. I paid $6 for this item. Like I said, very good bread and butter in both pre-owned and new for like the 2X, 3X in Talbot's. All right, moving on to Poshmark sales. Like I said, we did run closet clear out, so a lot of my sales this week were still left over from closet clear out, and a lot of lower price items sold, stuff that I was sitting on that I needed to move. But I did have a few full price sales and some like really quick sellers that I wanted to share with you. This one is Royal Bones by Dang Goodman. Reminds me of like Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad. If you know, you know. But what I've noticed is that really niche, like goth emo type brands perform really, really well. So they're willing to pay a lot for unique pieces and for specific niche brands. So anytime I come across something like super goth, super emo, scene, whatever, I am like always looking it up. And this one had some pretty decent comps. You can see it's like an all over mesh shirt with some skull details. I thought it was really cool. This one happened to be like a Y2K kind of brand, which significantly increased the value even more. I paid $4.39 for this, listed it for, on Poshmark, we would have listed this for $40, and I ended up selling it on an offer for $34. Next up is a Brooks Brothers piece. I don't pick up a lot of Brooks Brothers women's stuff. I pick up a lot of the men's stuff, but the women's stuff, not so much. But this is a Supima cotton size 6 women's button-up shirt, and I got it because it had this gorgeous like duck print on it, so kind of hunting vibes. And yeah, it was just very unique, very gorgeous, had the tie neck detail as well. It was just very striking and very unique, and I could not say no to it. I paid $6.99. It ended up selling for $34 on Poshmark, so I am happy I took the chance on that. Next up is another blazer sale. If you guys learned nothing from this video, hopefully you learned some blazer brands to be on the lookout for. This is Bonobos, and for a while I didn't know that Bonobos even made blazers, and I was super shocked when I did comps because the blazers sell really well and for tons of money depending on what you have. This is just a slim fit blazer, 100% wool, pretty decent size in a size 40R. 2 buttons, so it is very modern. I paid just over $5 for this. We originally listed this for around $75. I accepted an offer of $60 to get it moving, but as you guys can see, even when you accept offers, there is a ton of money to be made in blazers. Speaking of blazers, again, I found this suit set at a Goodwill, and I can't remember. I can't remember if I paid for the full set or if this is like those two pieces individually combined, but altogether I paid $7.99 for this suit set. Normally I do not like to list something as a set if they have different sizes, so this blazer was a size 10 but the skirt was a size 8. However, this had a very specific type of fabric, and so it was called the 1035 line, and then had the Super 120s, which I believe referred to the wool. And when I looked up J. Crew Super 120s skirt sets, I saw that there were really good comps. So I decided to keep those both together, even with the different sizes. And you can see this is how we listed it. This one sold extremely quickly. I think it only took maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks to sell. So like I said, I paid $7.99 for it, and we listed it for around $100. It sold for an offer of $89, and super happy with that. I'll be looking for stuff like this in the future. All right, next up is Under Armour. Like I said, we try to never completely discount any particular brand. Under Armour's definitely become oversaturated, but there are a couple of men's specific styles that do really well. And so if we come across something that feels or looks kind of unique in Under Armour, we always look up the style. These ones are called the Storm Tactical Patrol Pants, and they had a pretty good sell-through rate. We picked them up for $5.99 and we sold them for $35 on Poshmark. There have also been a couple of like golf pants that had a specific style name actually on the tag, and those perform good as well. All this to say, if you come across something unique in Under Armour, it might be worth doing a Google lens on. Next up is a Polo Ralph Lauren men's piece. This is a very unique Ralph Lauren piece. So it was a linen, specifically Tussa silk. Somewhere on the material tag it said Tussa. And I could just tell that this was going to be a really great piece. Anything really unique in Ralph Lauren seems to perform extremely well. And what I usually do is a Google lens on it. So there were only actually a few of these listed. And from what I could tell, the ones that were selling for quite a bit of money. I think I originally listed mine for about $75. I received an offer for $60 and I went ahead and accepted that offer just to get it moving. I definitely think that I could have held out, a couple of months and gotten my full asking price. But as I always say, I would rather move an item quickly, reinvest the money, and get more items. Here's another Ralph Lauren piece. This one is actually the purple label. So they do have a couple of labels that really increase value. There's the purple label and then there's the black label. If you find either one of those, you're going to want to include that label when you do your comp because it's going to significantly increase the value of your item. This is a women's silk button-down top in a size 14, purple label, lots of good stuff going for it. I actually paid $15 for this in wholesale. That item was priced up because it was the purple label, and we ended up selling it for $85 on Poshmark, and it was a pretty quick flip. So definitely keep your eye out for purple label Ralph Lauren. All right, this next item is by Billy Reid. They make mostly men's, but I think they also might sell a couple women's pieces. What I know with this brand is that it retails for a lot. You can see this retails for $200. I did find this new with tags. It is called the Dover sweatshirt. And Billy Reid in general is not a brand that everything sells super well in. However, I have noticed that the winter items seem to perform really well. So like sweaters, sweatshirts, things of that nature, outerwear, those are the things that seem to flip quickly. I picked up this sweatshirt in the dead of summer and it sat and sat until now when we're moving into colder weather. So I originally had this listed for over $100. I have since dropped the price. Like I said, just because I've been sitting on it for several months and every single month we drop price of older items. I probably could have bumped the price back up now that we're in colder weather, but I'm just not in the habit of doing that quite yet. So this ended up selling on an offer for $70. Like I said, I do think I could have gotten over $100 for this, but I'm still happy to move this at $70. I only paid $4.89 for it. But Billy Reid, especially in, like I said, sweaters, sweatshirts, and outerwear, definitely a brand I would keep your eye out for. All right, next up is a pretty bread and butter men's jeanwear brand for me. It is Adriana Goldschmied. I don't seem to have any luck selling the women's jeans, but the men's jeans I can usually get about $35 for. This is the Graduate Tailor Leg jean, and I've sold a lot of these, and they almost always sell for $5 and flip quickly. Or not $5. I picked this up for $5. They almost always sell for $35. This one sold for $34 on Poshmark. All right, this item we got from somebody that used to source for us, so I'd consider it a wholesale piece. It is Clear V, and I had never heard of this brand until she offered this to us. I've never come across it myself, and I was not aware of it, but this brand has a super high sell-through rate, a really big following, and honestly, their pieces I might pass on at the thrift store if I didn't know about this brand. So this one is like a woven kind of tote shoulder bag, and this one had a lot of wear. A lot of wear. We had a lot of staining on the outside. It's very hard to tell, but you might be able to see almost every edge had some spot on it. We did our very best to clean it, but ultimately it did not all come out. So we just listed it as is, significantly dropped the price, and it ended up still selling for $68. I was really surprised at how quickly that sold with all of the flaws. So happy with that sale. I think we also in another video might have shown you another Clear V bag that also had a ton of wear, and it also sold for a decent amount. So I guess if you come across this flawed, you might even consider still getting it, but definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. All right, next up, I wanted to share this piece because as we move into fall and winter, traditionally every single year, Free People thermal tops sell really well for me, especially when they have a contrast cuff like this one does. Now, same thing as that Billy Reed. I got this towards the beginning of summer. I've sat on it because it's obviously a thermal item. Prices have dropped. It ended up selling for $27. I definitely could have increased the price now that we're moving back into colder weather, but I am not in the habit of doing so. But I just wanted to share this sale with you because, like I said, traditionally these items in Free People, the thermal ones with the contrast cuffs, do perform really well in the colder weather season. Here is another blazer. J. Crew, women's size 14. This one was called the Going Out blazer. The size definitely helped to sell this one and increase the value. This one sold for $55 on Poshmark. So really happy with that sale, and just all the blazer sales. I'm just seeing so much value in that category. Next up is a brand that performs really well for me in both men's and women's. I pretty much pick it up no matter what. It is Fairty. This one's a women's size extra small, and it is a reversible women's top. So it can look like this, or it can look like this, and these reversible tops seem to be performing really well because even in a size extra small, it sold pretty quickly. We paid just over $5 for it, and it ended up selling for $55 on Poshmark. Next up is a pretty tried and true piece, but I thought I would mention it in case there are any newer resellers. Patagonia sweatshirts, jackets, things like that are going to start flying off the shelf. So definitely want to keep your eye out for Patagonia outerwear as we move into the colder weather season. This is a size small. It is a chinchilla snap tee, really cute neutral colors. I definitely could have increased the value now that we're moving into colder weather, but it ultimately ended up selling for $38, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for more of these. This one is a brand I haven't quite figured out yet. It is COS or COS, and I believe that this brand is a line from H&M, and it's like their higher end line. It does seem to have a following, but it definitely does not have 100% sell-through rate when I check comps on eBay. But I have learned that certain pieces can sell for quite a bit of money, so I'm just kind of experimenting with this brand. This one is a pair of men's 100% linen pants, and just in general, men's linen pants for me this year have sold really well. So I felt pretty comfortable taking a chance on that. I paid about $5 for this, and we originally listed it for around $55. It ended up selling on an offer on Poshmark for $40. And lastly is a brand that performs pretty well for me in hiking pants. It is Prana, and these are the newer style men's Zion pants, and traditionally these Zion pants, in my opinion, it's like what they are known for, and I find a lot of them. So like, in my opinion, they're pretty easy to come across at the thrift store, at least in my area. They always flip for really good money. So I'm always on the hunt for Prana men's pants, and even the women's hiking pants perform good as well. You just have to look up the style. So I paid about $5 for these. They sold on an offer to Liker on Poshmark for $49.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, I do make these videos every single week. I talk about what is selling for me on both eBay and Poshmark. So if you're interested, you can subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. If you do that, you'll be notified every single time I post these videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.